I drive because I love my children on the bus. I started off driving to be at home with my children on snow days and holidays. And in that 24-year time that I've been with the county, I have enjoyed every child on my bus and the families and the connections I've met.
Why do I drive? I drive because of the students. It's those students that make my day. You make relationship with these students, and even after they graduate from high school, they'll come up and give you a hug and let you know that they appreciate you and what you did.
I love driving a school bus because I had a school bus driver that I admired, and I always watched her, and she was a great person, and that challenged me to be a good bus driver. And I was a trainer for 2 years for Roanoke County, and I loved it. I enjoyed showing people what I do.
This is a family. We consider ourselves part of the transportation family. And once you become part of the family, you stay part of the family. We learn about each other's family, we support each other, we're there for each other, and we have fun while we're doing it. We get to help the students, we get to be there for them and support them.
I drive the school bus because I wanted to have some adult interaction as a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to get out, and driving with Roanoke County, I have great students. I've enjoyed this nearly 20 years now, and I also like being a part of the community, and they trust me with their kids, and I enjoy being with my students.
I enjoy driving. The best part about driving the school bus is the children that I pick up every day.
Why?
Because they keep me younger. I'm 78 years old. They keep me younger.
I retired from public service, and I stayed at home and did all my honeydews, and basically I got bored. I wanted something to do. My wife was a teacher, so this allowed me to have money and time off during the summer.
We do this to have something to do. A lot of our drivers are retirees, and they come out to do their community service and have a routine and have a reason to get up in the morning, and they get a little extra fun money to go on vacation and that kind of stuff. So it's a great job.
reconvene. We were in closed session. I want to welcome everyone to the April 22nd, 2021 board meeting. Mr. Linden, would you read us out of closed, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I move that the Roanoke County School Board come out of closed session for the following: to discuss ongoing personnel matters under investigation pursuant to the personnel exemption at 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia, and to discuss the investigation of a student matter pursuant to the scholastic record exemption at 2.2-3711A2 of the Code of Virginia. And I also motion to certify, or move to certify that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under this chapter, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened, were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the school board.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. We do have action from closed session. Mr. Greenway?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would ask that we allow the religious exemptions for students 20, 21, 28, 29, and 30.
I'll second that.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right, would you all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, the first item on the agenda is election of chairman. Some of you may be wondering what that's about. Back in June, I announced that I'd be leaving the school board after the June 10th meeting. And having giving that some thought, there's several very important issues that the school board has to face within the next few months, and I believe that the chairman who leads that initiative, which is really what the chairman does, should probably be someone who's going to be remaining here rather than someone who's leaving. So this evening, I'm going to transfer the chairmanship of the board to a member who will be remaining. And so with that, I'd like to make a motion to elect Jason Moretz as chairman of the Roanoke County School Board, succeeding me effective immediately.
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Abstain.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we need a second and yes, ma'am, don't we?
Did you second?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right.
Thank you. Musical chairs.
Yes. I sat here once before.
Look at there, Chuck's on the ball.
Yes, he is.
Raising the names. Whoa! That's all right. You'll take more room over there, isn't it?
Right. Okay. Very good.
Thank you. I was looking for that. Well, I printed that one at home.
All right. Well, appreciate that. So, moving on, item number 5.01, announcement and changes in agenda. I do not think we have any, so we'll.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Perfect. Do I have a second? Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. No after consent.
Okay.
All right, so moving on, item 6.01, we have recognition of outstanding high school chemistry teacher for 2021, Ms. Karen Hicks, Glenver High School, Ms. Erin Barnett. Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Nicely, Mr. Chairman, and members of the school board. It is my pleasure to help recognize an outstanding Roanoke County teacher this evening, Ms. Karen Hicks. Karen has been an asset to Roanoke County schools for 23 years now. She has always excelled as a chemistry teacher, but this year she has gone above and beyond to support fellow teachers and students across the county as we have all navigated hybrid learning. Karen created 2 brand new courses for RCPS Online Academy and the resources she created and compiled were shared with chemistry teachers across the county to help them plan virtual lessons for their students. She has also been teaching chemistry and pre-AP chemistry for the online academy, in addition to a full load of chemistry classes at Glenver and a chemistry class at Virginia Western Community College, which I think she has to teach tonight still. Along with these responsibilities, Karen is also mentoring a first-year chemistry teacher at Glenver. Due to this extraordinary effort in a demanding and challenging year, Karen has been selected as the 2021 Outstanding Chemistry Teacher by the Blue Ridge section of the American Chemical Society. The organization stated that they received several nominations for the award from the 15-county area that they serve, but they found Karen's accomplishments to be truly outstanding. Congratulations to Ms. Karen Hicks. We truly appreciate what you do to support chemistry instruction and our students in Roanoke County.
All right, moving on with our Glenver High School portion of the evening so item 6.02, we've got recognition of Glenver High School 2021 Class 2A State Wrestling Champion, Mr. Jake Klein and Dr. Corey Franklin. Come on up.
Well, thank you for welcoming Glenver here tonight, members of the board, Dr. Nicely, and all administration. I'd like to introduce Coach Klein, and he is the proud dad and coach of Jake here. So I'm going to let him say a few words.
Hi. First of all, I wanted to thank the board for finding a way to have a winter sports season. I think guys like Jake, you don't realize how much that impacts them. So we just want to say thank you for finding a way to have a winter sports season. That was a huge accomplishment this year, and it wasn't always a given that we were going to get on the mat this year. So thank you for that. Thank you. This evening, I have the pleasure of introducing Jake Klein. Jake is Glenver's state wrestling champion this year. He had an overall record this year of 10-0. On his way to win a state title, he beat 3 returning state place winners to get that state championship. He's also a straight A student at Glenver High School, and so he's got a bright future ahead of him as long as he keeps that head up. So thank you all. That's right.
Somebody's
Congratulations. All right. All right. Now we will move on to recognition of Glenver High School 2021 Class 2A Indoor Track State Champions.
Okay, now on to the ladies.
Yes.
Our indoor track girls champions. Come here, Coach. Coach Bourne is going to help us tonight. Coach Loader couldn't be here. Not only did they win the entire season as a team, but there were some individual wins as well, and I'm going to let her speak to that.
Hi. Same thing as he said, we're just so thankful that we had a season this year because we were so unsure of that. I'd like to introduce Glenver High School's 2021 VHSL 2A Girls Indoor Track State Champions. Carly Wilkes, Sydney Loader, Delaney Eller, Carrie Harrell, and Daly Umbarger. Junior Carly Wilkes is a 2-time 2020 and 2021 state champion and record holder in the 3200. She was also the state champion in the 1000 and a part of the 4x4 state championship relay team this season. Sophomore Sydney Loader is the state champion in the 55 hurdles and also a part of the 4x4. She also took second in the 300 and third in the high jump. Junior Delaney Eller is a part of the 4x4 relay team, and she also came in third in the 500. Junior Carrie Harrell is also a part of the 4x4, and she took fourth in the 500. Every relay team has to rely on an alternate that can come in and help out in times of need, and our senior Daly Umbarger, she's not here tonight, but she's been a major part of our team the past 2 years. We continue to look forward to seasons ahead, and thank you for allowing us to come and recognize our GHS Girls Indoor State Champs. Congratulations.
All right, ladies. And I would like to point out they're wearing their bling from last season's win, too.
That's awesome. Stand Hand up, Don.
Great job, ladies.
All right. Recognition of Glenver High School 2021 Class 2A Girls Swimming State Champions.
Returning state champs. I'd like to invite Coach Hall up here. Daniel, Coach Daniel. They won the title last year, and they came back and took it with grace. Go, guys.
Thanks. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Nicely. It's good to be here in person this year. Last year we didn't have that luxury, so it's really good to be here. This is Coach Daniel Smith. He's a co-head coach. I'm Shannon Hall, the other co-head coach. The 2021 Lady Highlanders won the Class 1 and 2 combined state swimming championship, scoring 287 points to second place Strasburg, 209 points. 25 teams scored points on the night. The Glenver girls won 6 of 11 events contested on March the 6th, 3 individual titles and sweeping all 3 relay titles. Individual winners on that night were Reese Dunkenberger, who couldn't be here tonight. We have 7 of the 8 girls here with us tonight. Reese is out of town and couldn't be here. But she won the 100-yard freestyle for the 3rd consecutive year, as well as the 100-yard backstroke after being runner-up for 2 years prior. Reese ends her high school career as the state record holder in the 50-yard and the 100-yard freestyle. Claire Griffith, who is with us tonight, won the 50-yard freestyle for the 2nd year in a row. The winning 200-yard medley relay team was, actually I'm going to defer to Coach Daniel here in just a second, but I wanted to introduce all the members first. We had 8 members of the team. We had seniors Reese Dunkenberger. We had senior Isabel Pope, who is with us. Isabel, you want to stand up? We had senior McKenna Shearer, who is with us. Juniors Delaney Eller and Carly Wilkes. Sophomores Claire Griffith and Adriana Hall. And 1 freshman, Natalie McMahon. I'll let Coach Daniel continue.
Our winning relay team and the 200-yard medley consisted of Reese Dunkenberger, Isabel Pope, Adriana Hall, and Claire Griffith. The winning 200-yard freestyle relay team was Reese Dunkenberger, Delaney Eller, Carly Wilkes, and Claire Griffith. And the winning 400-yard freestyle relay team was Delaney Eller, Carly Wilkes, Natalie McMahon, and Adriana Hall. The ladies won 23 total medals on the night and set a new state record and 4 new school records. We would also like to thank you for allowing us to have a sports season. As you can see, it really helped these girls, not just academically, but also athletically. So we really are appreciative, and we're really excited to celebrate these ladies. So thank you.
And while you guys are moving into position, I would like to announce that as of today, about 1:18 p.m., Carly Wilkes won the state championship in cross country. What was the time, Tyler? 18:13. She ran it in 18:13. So I guess she's getting more blame. Yeah, today. She only has.
It really is.
Great job, everybody. We're so proud.
All right. Anybody want to say anything? Does anybody want to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dr. Franklin, I just wanted to say congratulations. It's so exciting to see all these students back in here, that we can recognize them for their accomplishments, and we too were glad that we ended up having a sports season. The athletic director, I must admit, out there at Glenver is doing such a fantastic job. We may want to think about getting him a promotion.
Thank you. They make us all look good. All of you guys do.
Hey, and I think we're all green and gold tonight. This is awesome. This is wonderful. It's good to see everybody here. As some of you have stated, not being able to do this last year, it's wonderful to see every one of you here. Thank y'all, and congratulations.
Good job.
All right. Moving on, 7.01, anything, hearing of citizen delegations, having none. We'll move on to report by Student Advisory Council. Mr. Mark Linkus, do we have any? You're going to tell us about what's going on next week, I know, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Nicely. My name is Mark Linkus. I'm a senior at Glenver High School. The Student Advisory Council has not met since our last meeting on Wednesday, April 7th. But as you said, members of the planning committee have been hard at work just getting all the students' names that are going to be attending our student leadership conference next week. So it will be held virtually this coming Wednesday, April 28th, with the theme Above and Beyond, where students will have the opportunity to hear from a variety of leaders in the community. And those people speaking there are people that have overcome challenges of adversity to become leaders that they are today. So with that said, our final SAC meeting of the year will be held on Thursday, May 13th. So as always, thank you so much for your continuous support of the Student Advisory Council. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, moving on, 9.01, consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve items 9.01, 9.02, 9.03, and 9.04.
Second?
All right. Madam Clerk, roll.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. All right, before we move on, if I could get Dr. McClung just to step up to the podium, please.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Dr. Nicely. I have the honor and the privilege to announce several recommendations for staff tonight. I'd first like to call Lori Wimbush up front. We are proposing a very important new position in our division titled Director of Equity and Engagement. And it is just with great honor, I recommend Lori Wimbush for that position. Lori is finishing up her 23rd year in public education. And after her teaching career, she became an assistant principal for a couple years. And this is actually her 15th year as a principal at both the middle and high school levels. Her ability to build strong relationships is one of her greatest strengths. When she was at Northside Middle, just a tidbit, they were named a school to watch. And while at Hidden Valley High School, that school is a national blue ribbon school. Lori went to Radford University for her undergrad master's degrees, and then she received her ed specialist from Liberty University. And right now, she's currently enrolled in a doctorate program with Radford. And what I love is that her dissertation is focusing on equity. For the past year, I've had the opportunity to work very closely with Lori as the co-chair of our equity planning and leadership team, where she implemented a new mentoring program for staff who have more diverse backgrounds. She's assisted with every single opportunity that's become open, including job fairs, working closely with me, with staff, with families, and most importantly, with our students. She's a champion for diversity, equity, and inclusiveness in Roanoke County Public Schools. I feel she's passionate about what she does, and she's going to lead our division with our vision of changing hearts and minds in this position. So I introduce Lori.
Thank you, Dr. McClung. Thank you, board. I appreciate you, and thank you for the opportunity. Dr. Nicely, I thank you also for this. I'm so excited about this. I'm really happy for the time I've been able to spend in Northside, and especially at Hidden Valley. And again, I'm excited about this new opportunity, and thank you again, board. I
We're
appreciate
excited
it.
for you. Well done.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Well deserved. Certainly, had the privilege of working closely with you. Your phenomenal leadership at Hidden Valley. Great, wonderful with the community. I know you'll be missed there, but we've got a smooth transition, and looking forward to your to your replacement, but also looking forward to seeing you grow in the role, and what you can do for the school system going forward. So just thank you for all you do. We're blessed to have you.
We're very blessed to have you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, that causes an opening at Hidden Valley High School. So I would like to recognize Mr. Josh Whitlow, if you can come forward. We all know Josh. He has 25 years of experience in Roanoke County Public Schools. He went to Tech for his undergrad in music education and received his master's degree in educational leadership. And when I was an assistant principal, he even did an internship with me. So I've known Josh for many years. He's been a band director and was the AP at Hidden Valley High School for 14 years. And he's currently finishing his 4th year as principal at Glenver Middle. He's happily married to a teacher who also works in our division and has 2 children who are also in our schools. I think what you're going to find with some of our announcements tonight is the depth of experience and community ties to Roanoke County. Josh has a very strong instructional background. When he was at Hidden Valley High School, he led the development of professional learning communities with the staff. He already has wonderful relationships established in the Hidden Valley community. I've worked with Josh not only as a coworker for many years, but I've also had the opportunity to be a parent of a child who has spent 3 years under Josh's leadership as principal. So I know firsthand that the Hidden Valley community is in great hands. So I'd like to introduce to you our recommendation, Josh Whitlow.
Mr. Chairman, members of the school board, Dr. Nicely, colleagues and guests, I just want to express my gratitude for this opportunity and this new role to say thank you to the Glenver community for all it has done and continues to do for me and my family, and to express my enthusiasm and excitement for the chance to work with the Hidden Valley community again. Thank you.
Well, we're excited to have you back, Josh. I know we're in good hands, and just looking forward to working with you more closely. So excited.
Well, and that opens up yet another position. So with that, it's my honor to recommend Mrs. Amy Duff to be the principal at Glenver Middle School. This is Amy's 27th year in public education. She also attended Radford for her undergraduate and graduate work. And what I find really interesting about Amy is she started her career at Glenver High School as an instructional assistant. So Glenver is near and dear to her heart. She's been an assistant principal at both the middle and high school levels, and she's been at William Byrd High School, William Byrd Middle, and Glenver High School. And just for a year, she snuck to central office as the supervisor of English and loved it. However, her true passion is with kids and families, and she had to get back out there in the schools. So I respect her for that. Not only do we recommend her to continue her work in the Glenver community, she lives in the Glenver community. She's married to a teacher who also works for our division, and both of her wonderful daughters, and I've known them both since they were little, have gone through the Glenver schools. She's clearly invested in the Glenver community on both a personal and professional level. She is exceptionally organized, a great DBA. She builds really strong relationships. In my experience this year of being in Glenver on Tuesdays, I've had the opportunity to see her work, and she's out there. She knows the kids, she knows the staff, and she's going to be a true asset in her new role. So Mrs. Amy Duff.
Mr. Chairman, member of the board, Dr. Nicely, I am so excited to continue my career at Glenver Middle School. As she said, I am a member of the Glenver community. I know how phenomenal Glenver schools are, and I'm just so excited to be able to continue building that school culture and the academic excellence that the previous administrations at Glenver Middle have done. So again, I thank you so much for your confidence.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So, Ms. Duff, I just want to say how happy I am that you are going to be the principal at Glenver Middle, and they are lucky to have you. I was fortunate when I came on to have an opportunity to work with you some at the middle school, and you're great for the kids, you're great for the community, and I know you're from Glenver, and to me, that's a huge thing, and I think it's a win-win. They're so lucky.
Thank you, Mr. Greenway. I appreciate that. Especially considering we stole her from the Byrd area. So thank you for sharing.
Don't let that happen again.
Congratulations. All right, no action items, so we'll move on to the information agenda, 11.01. We've got the 2021-2022 Special Education Annual Plan. Mrs. Beth Harmon.
Nearly as exciting as all of that, so it's a tough act to follow. But good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Nicely. The information item before you is the annual presentation of the Special Education Plan and the Part B flow-through application. The purpose of this document is to provide assurances that our division certifies that throughout the grant award period of 21-23, we will meet the IDEA regulations and Virginia's regulations governing special education programs for children with disabilities. We are further certifying that the division has current local policies and procedures for the provision of special education and related services, which ensure compliance of IDEA, federal implementing regulations, and the Virginia Board of Education regulations. Additionally, you've been provided documentation regarding our fiscal responsibilities of maintenance of effort, proportionate set-aside for parentally placed students in private schools, and our projected spending for IDEA Part B, Section 611 and 619 grant funds. And you've been provided the comprehensive document that we ask for your consent at the next school board meeting. Do you have any questions?
Questions? All right. Thank you, Mrs. Harmon. All right, 11.02, recommended policy revisions. Dr. Skull, welcome.
Good evening, Chairman Moretz, members of the board, and Dr. Nicely. So several times each year, I come before you to share updates on policies. So I'm sure when you opened up your board docs and saw those documents there, you had lots of fun reading to do. So what you will see there in board docs is we provide you with 3 copies of each policy. There is an edited version, a final version, and a summary version. And in that summary version, it talks about the changes we made specifically to that policy. There's also a review or summary sheet in there that lists all the policies and gives another brief description of the changes that were made. So as you review those policies, I am here to answer any questions you may have, and we can move forward when you're ready. And after you've reviewed the policies, we can go from there.
And I really appreciate the Cliff Notes. I mean, that is, very, very, thank you so much.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, yes, sir.
I just want to brag on Dr. Stegall. So I don't know if you've reached out yet or if he's reached out, Mr. Robertson, but got a message from the friend, y'all know I have, the principal up in Northern Virginia. Is he with Arlington or?
Arlington, yes.
He had messaged me and said he had heard great things about our dress code policy.
Mhm.
I know this one of those policies. And so he asked me, he said, well, who developed that and can you put me in touch with? And so I got Dr. Stegall's number, and they're looking to see if they can draft or play off of our policy. So I think that's nice that someone else in Northern Virginia, of all places, is looking. So thank you.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that, a lot of people are involved in that, but now the state of Virginia is requiring that school divisions look at their dress code and consider gender-neutral dress code. So it's something that the entire state's being pushed to do. Nice. So,
thank you.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Oh, Mr. Wright?
Yeah, Dr. Stegall, I just curious. I tried to wade through these things and go through all of them, and I just was wondering, have we had a case where we had miniature horses?
So yes, not in Roanoke County, but there are schools that actually have had miniature horses as service animals.
Wow.
So
that's interesting.
It is, isn't it? It is. That would be quite a challenge.
And then I saw where the permission for its item, school bus scheduling and routing, and then pre-K and first grade must have parent or individual who is at least 14 years of age. Is that written permission?
It is written permission that goes to the principal that's on prior to the actual date that they're going to meet the child at the bus stop. And whether it's temporary or permanent, we do want it in writing. And then they're going to pass that along to the bus driver. So the principal will have it on file, and so will the bus driver. That way everyone knows that who is supposed to be there picking up the child. We've had some situations, especially this past year, where, our kids are in hybrid, so some of the siblings are at home, and we currently said that an adult had to meet the kids at the bus stop. So we had a lot of questions about, could a younger sibling do that? So that's why we requested that we adjust the policy.
Okay. And I did have a typo I'll show you later.
Oh, perfect.
Anyway.
Thank you.
And the only other thing that I had was the current on students, resident and non-resident students.
Yes.
We did a new application is only required when they're moving from 5th to 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And is that, why do we do that?
The main reason is enrollment, to make sure there's room. Most of our middle schools and high schools were usually okay. So elementary is the really tight one. We have to watch that every single year because enrollment is very tight in elementary. Middle schools, once they get into middle school, we don't do it again at secondary because we just roll them right through. So we only do it from elementary to middle.
All right, just wanted to understand. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right.
All right. Next up is instructional updates. We've got Mr. Mike Riley and Mrs. Stephanie Hogan. Welcome. Oh, do we need?
We're going to invite Mr. Sir up to join us as well.
All right.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, and Dr. Nicely. We're here this evening to present some instructional updates for you. The first thing we'd like to take a look at is to talk about where we currently are with the fourth 9 weeks. At this time, we have all face-to-face students that are in school 5 days per week, grades pre-K through 4, and 4 days per week in grades 5 through 12. Currently, in terms of percentages for the number or percent of students that are currently still remote, at the elementary level, we have 16%. At the middle level, we have 18%. And at the high school level, we have currently 31% of the students that are remote. At the secondary level, we still have Wednesday help sessions that are still being used to work with remote and struggling students. Next, we'd like to talk a little bit about our summer instructional plan as we're working to meet the student needs for unfinished learning. We basically have 3 goals that we're looking at for the summer program. First is to identify students with acute unfinished learning needs from the current school year. We want to remove barriers to equitable access such as cost and transportation. And we want to provide high quality instruction to reduce those gaps in learning. And so with that, some of the highlights for our elementary program include the following. We're going to have expanded enrollment this summer to include as many students as needed. We're going to have expanded programs to double the length of time. We're going to have an intensive focus on those foundational reading and mathematics skills. We're going to have participation that is going to be based on individual student data that we've been collecting over the course of the year. Each student or each school will customize its own program to meet student needs. There will be no cost. Transportation is provided. Breakfast and lunch will also be provided, and each program will run from 7:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., and programs will run daily for 3 to 4 weeks. So we're really excited about the things that we're going to be doing as we move forward with our elementary summer program.
Mrs. Hogan, real quick, have we already started reaching out to those elementary school students or their parents?
Yes. Currently, what's been going on is principals have sent out registration forms to parents for their programs, and they've also been contacting them personally. Mm-hmm. And what we're doing is by April 30th, we're going to be getting to transportation the names and addresses of all those students that will need transportation. Mm-hmm. But they've been diligently working on that for this past few weeks.
So, I mean, but the students were, quote unquote, handpicked, based on,
yes,
if they need
data.
A remediation or not, essentially, right?
Absolutely. We've looked at local assessment data that we have. We have PALS data that we've looked at, as well as our reading inventory data, as well as some of the math assessments that we've had over the course of the year to identify these youngsters.
Mm-hmm. Have you gotten any responses yet? I mean, from parents, questions from parents? I'm just trying to figure out what the response rate would
So
be?
far, it has been very good. We have had parents that are highly interested in their children being able to participate in the summer programs. And also, even though the focus is going to be on reading and mathematics, the principals have done a nice job of working and planning with their teachers to plan fun and engaging things that they can do with the instruction that they're going to be providing them. And each of the programs, there is a pre-assessment that they do as they enter the program, and then we'll have a post-assessment as well at the end, so we can gauge and determine how much progress has been made.
All right, moving on to our middle school, and of course, earlier this year, we brought the schedules to you guys for the middle school program and the high school program, but we wanted to bring some detail just in terms of what those programs are going to look like. At the middle level program, we are looking to expand the enrollment to include as many students as we need to. We're going to expand those programs. We're actually going to double the length. Last year, we had a program that was for 3 weeks, 4 days a week, and at each of one of the base schools. This year, we're going to offer 2 of those, one in June and one in July, where we can double the number of students. In some cases, students may attend both sessions if they really need that help, and schools are working to identify those students based on the deficits that they may currently have. There's going to be intensive focus on foundational reading, writing, and math skills. Again, just like the elementary, participation's based on individual student data. Teachers are going to recommend students for this. They're going to be reaching out to those parents. They currently are reaching out to some of those. Of course, as we get more data, as we get closer to the end of the year, they're going to be contacting those students who they feel really need this program to make sure they can be successful next year. In just a little bit, we'll talk about some supports we're going to have in place for next year as well. But we want to make sure that we're identifying the middle schoolers who are really going to need that extra help over the summer to make sure that they can be successful with what the classes they're going to take next year. We are excited that, again, this summer, we're going to offer that at all the base schools. So each middle schooler will attend at their home school, being taught by teachers from their home school. We found that we did that last summer. We had great participation from students, and the teachers were excited to work in their rooms with their kids. It made a big difference last summer, and I think we're going to see that again this summer with our middle schoolers. Again, we've talked about this many times. We feel very confident we're going to be able to offer no-cost transportation from each of the elementary schools. We've talked to the middle school principals. They feel like this is going to remove one of the barriers that parents may have. Don't know that we can provide transportation from their house, but we certainly, in some cases, just getting them to the elementary school, to the middle school, is going to help parents tremendously. We are luckily going to be able to provide breakfast and lunch to all our students. So students will get a breakfast when they get there and hopefully a lunch when they leave. Those sessions will run from 8 to noon daily for 3 weeks. So again, one will be in June and one will be in July. Were there any questions about the middle school program? Because it is very different from the high school program. All right, the high school program is very similar to what we've done in the past. If you remember last summer, we couldn't hold anything face-to-face. Everything had to be virtual. What we know is a lot of the students who are going to need help this summer are students who struggled with virtual learning. As a result of that, we felt very strongly we wanted to make sure we had them back with us. So our summer school program will be at Northside High School this summer. We talked about that before. Enrollment is going to be based on individual student needs for graduation credits. This is a credit recovery program, so students will be retaking classes they either failed or struggled in this school year. The program we use is Edgenuity. It's what we use in our A-STEP program. I know you guys are familiar with that. We actually had a neat recognition for them yesterday, but it's individualized, it's personalized instruction that is skill-based rather than seat time-based. Students take pre-tests on each one of the units. Things they understand, they can move through quickly, and things they struggle with, they can spend more time on. And then we have teachers there in the room with them that can help them work through issues. If we need to pull kids out and do some extra remediation, we have the staff to do that. And the whole idea there is just to maximize the access with the flexibility on time. We want to provide equitable access to finishing learning or improving grades by removing cost. In years past, we've always charged a fee for summer school. This summer, with some of the ESSER funding, we're going to be able to provide any student who wants to repeat a class to be able to do that at Northside High School free of charge. So there will not be any fee for any of our students who are taking those programs. We'll also be providing free transportation from the base elementary schools. Of course, with it being at Northside, that's a big deal. So now we'll be able to provide transportation from all the elementary schools within the division to Northside High School each day that we offer summer school. Breakfast and lunch will also be provided. And as we've done in the past, there's 2 half-day sessions that for 4 weeks, and it is a 5-day-a-week program. So that will run from June 3rd to June 30th at Northside High School. Were there any questions about the high school program? Yes, sir.
Well, so this is a question for all the grade levels. And I know it's a little bit premature, but are we going to get an update on the percentages of students struggling? You know, you had shown us at some point after the first half, the failing students and so on and so forth.
We have the third 9 weeks data. The reason we didn't bring it at this point in time is it's very similar to the first 2 9 weeks. There's a slight.
So we still have
There's a slight increase in student grades. There's a decrease in Fs across the board, but it isn't tremendous. It's a percentage point or two. We still see that our 100% remote students tend to be the ones that are struggling more so than the others, and the percentage rates are about the same as they were, a little improved, but across the board. Now, one thing you got to remember is the elementary and middle level we saw as we brought students back to 4 and 5 days a week. Those numbers went down. Students came back in. Interestingly enough, as we brought the high schoolers back to 4 days a week, the remote numbers went up. So we had students choosing to go ahead and do 100% remote as we brought them back.
I've got my thoughts about that. I'm sure everybody does. But,
right.
So our work's cut out for us, and we went to school this year.
It is.
So,
it is.
Yeah.
But I do feel confident in the plan we have. I think we've got teachers in the right spot. And of course, we're going to talk in just a second about what we're doing for CTE students. But then tonight, we're also going to talk a little bit about next year, what next year is going to look like. And we know that we're going to have students, even if they didn't fail, there might be some learning gaps that we need to recover. And we've got some things in place to work with those students during the next school year as well. It's not just going to be a summer fix.
Yeah. Thank you.
So any other questions about the high school program before Mr. Sir is going to talk a little bit about what they're going to do for some of our CTE students?
Just a question about the lunches and breakfast. They're still free, and I think that's extended into next year. Is that correct?
I think it goes through the 30th. I think it goes through September for all students. It's been extended. Ms. Huffman would know that. And that's part of why we're able to do this, is the federal government has extended that program.
Going into next year, though.
2022.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I saw that USDA announced the entire school year.
2022.
Is it going to be the whole school
Free
year?
for everybody.
Okay. And I had not seen that, but I knew that's something they were talking about. So,
Are you confident in the staffing levels for this summer?
I am. We actually put our high school one online, and we've gotten numerous responses to that. I just want to thank Susan Peterson and the school board for working with us. We've increased the pay this summer for our staff, and I think that's gone a long way to helping us not only cover classrooms, but also things like bus drivers. We haven't provided transportation before. So we've been able to, at least for this summer, increase the pay for anybody working with students using some of those ESSER funds to help us do that. I do know some of the middle schools are still looking for folks, but I feel confident that we'll be able to fill those positions. All right, Mr. Sir.
Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Nicely. As you recall, maybe back at the beginning of the school year, Burton Center took a bold step, and with your support, Dr. Nicely's support, we were able to ensure that our students came back and were in class as much as possible, albeit it was reduced time. And so for that reason, we've looked at a way over the next, here in the spring and into the summer, to hopefully work with some of our students who, at Burton Center, and in one case from all the 5 base schools, to work with the students who have unfinished learning with skills and credentials that they usually have the opportunity to pursue there in CTE classes. So we're providing the opportunities for students to improve skills and also to complete preparation for industry certification exams. So that's one of those things we really focus on. A lot of those waivers that we received from DOE went a ways in helping alleviating the issue with graduation. but those certifications are very important. We want to offer as many opportunities as possible for the students to be with their teachers. The teachers I know at Burton are working super hard with the time they have now, the more time they've been able to get here recently with the students to work to that end. But we are focusing primarily on students who are not able to return to their programs next year, whether they're graduating, here in May, or they are a third-year student in a program and not able to return, or their schedule doesn't permit. We want those students to be able to come back and finish up some things, if at all possible. It'll be provided on location at Burton Center at no cost. We're not charging them, and transportation, like all the others, is going to be provided. We're in the logistical process there of planning that out and working with transportation to work with buses coming from the base high schools over to Burton for roughly a 3-hour block. So we're looking at those opportunities. Not everybody's able to do it at Burton. It's program dependent. Right now we're working with welding and motorsports, mechatronics, robotics, and intro to nursing are planning to offer these sessions, and they're not all at set times. We're having to work with the teachers on when they're going to offer these things, but roughly 9 to 12 in the morning, but it's going to be different weeks. And then we're also, I mentioned earlier, some of the base high schools, the business classes work towards Microsoft credentials, industry credentials, and we're going to offer that opportunity at Burton Center, so the students would come there to help shore up some skills there for them to be able to take those credential tests. So that's the plan we have in place right now, and we look forward to serving the students. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, one thing I did include, even though you guys have seen this before, I did want to go ahead and include this for reference. We do have the middle school program and the dates in board docs and in this presentation. Of course, the first session for the middle school runs in June to July 1. Then that second session starts up July 12th through July 29th. Again, there's no charge for our students for that. And then the high school sessions run one in the morning, one in the afternoon. From June 3rd to June 30th, those do run on Fridays, so they're half days, so students can take up to 2 classes that they need to repeat. Yes, sir.
So this may be a silly question, but it won't be the first time I've asked one. On graduation, will we have to have, is there because of the way things have played out, will we have to have possibly a second graduation? Only because if some of these kids have not finished their core classes or had trouble or struggled to, I doubt there's that many at that level.
Right.
I just wondered if there were going to be some kids that.
And I know Dr. Stegall's worked with graduation. I'm pretty sure it's been practiced that if a student can complete their work in the summer program, that they're allowed to walk with their classmates in their graduation.
Okay. So if they can finish even over
They'd
the
have
summer.
they'd have to be registered for those classes and demonstrate that they're moving in that direction, but
Gotcha.
yeah.
That's kind of where I was going.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. So then we get to the fall. It'll be here before we know it.
And looking, as we're shifting gears towards the fall, what we're going to be looking at is that all students will return to the classroom full-time, 5 days a week. So that's going to be exciting to know that they'll be back full-time in our buildings. There are the hours for elementary and secondary that are listed there. For our high schools, they'll return to AB alternating schedule and face mask requirements. We will be following the prevailing VDH CDC guidelines as of August 2021. So they will give us the guidance on what will happen with face masks. Looking at grades K through 8 remote options, this will be for extenuating circumstances only. Students that need first of all, we know students need in-person learning for academic, social, emotional, and mental health support. The remote learning only is an option for students with a documented COVID-related medical reason. It's only an option for the 2021-22 school year. Classes may be offered through Virtual Virginia. The cost per student ranges from $1,500 to $2,650, and the $1,500 is the cost for a middle school student, and the other is the cost for an elementary student. The cost will be covered through ESSER funding. Middle school students will take credit-bearing classes through the RCPS Online Academy, and RCPS will provide a laptop and technical support to those students. Questions about that? Okay.
Of course, we still have our online academy. That's one of the things that, not that there's a lot of good that's come out of COVID, but one of the good things that has come is our ability to build out this program. As you see up here, we went from 18 offerings when we kind of first started this process to 62 offerings at this point in time. So we've set up a program where a student can come in as a ninth grader. They could take all their classes through the academy and receive either a standard or an advanced studies diploma. By taking simply classes through our online academy, we've made sure we've got completer sequences. All our different graduation requirements can be fulfilled through our academy. Students, of course, can attend full-time and still be eligible for extracurricular activities. So that certainly is an option for homeschool parents. We actually this year sent a flyer out earlier in the year to homeschool parents to let them know about this option. That's going to continue to be there moving forward. As you saw at the elementary and middle schools, it's kind of a one-year option to go remote. The academy is something that we're going to continue with moving forward. But we want to make sure that our parents understand what that is, and that's available not just for folks for COVID reasons, but for other reasons that they may choose to do that online academy. Of course, courses follow a college-like semester schedule with a few exceptions. We have a few classes that run full year, world language being one of those. It just takes kids a little longer to get through those classes. It is asynchronous instruction from Roanoke County Public School teachers, and that's one of the terms I think we've all learned this year, the difference between asynchronous, we're not there together at the same time, versus synchronous, we're there at the same time. One of the things that we do want to focus on to make sure that we don't get kids falling through the cracks is to be in the academy. You need to be in good standing academically, and students are going to have to maintain academic progress. Early in the year, we're going to track students very closely. Students who are failing to complete work and get to certain benchmarks, we'll probably have to remove from the academy and bring them back into the base school. What we don't want is a student in the academy not doing work, getting to a point where they can't recover, and then we're scrambling. So we want to make sure that we're monitoring those, and the academy is the right fit for those students. Of course, information on the academy can be found on our website. That's all been updated and is ready for not only the summer. Students can take all those classes through the academy this summer, but they can start to register for this fall as well. Any questions about the academy or any of the next year's programs?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We say must be in good academic standing. Can we define that, or have we defined that? Is it a 2.5 GPA?
We're going to be it'll be a student by student basis. I think you need to look and see where the student is. We may work to develop a set criteria. Some of it's going to be where you went online this year and how did you do. If a student hasn't had the chance to experience online, we may want to give them the opportunity. In some cases, you're going to have students that'll take a class or two in the academy, as opposed to all 8 classes that you would have at the high school. But we are going to be working with our high schools to make sure that the students in this we feel will be successful in that program.
But no minimum GPA?
We haven't set that yet. That might be something we look at as we set up those parameters. The issue with minimum GPAs is you always want to give a student an opportunity. When you're looking to try something like this, try something new. Certainly somebody this year who was online the whole time and has not been successful at all, we would not want in that program. Let's say, for instance, you have a middle schooler who's coming up, who's maybe struggled a little bit, and the parents feel like this is going to be a really good option for them. Maybe they've struggled with some of the social dynamics and they want to try some online classes. We wouldn't want to put up artificial barriers that would preclude a student who might be successful. Now, again, we track them early and make sure they're doing what they need to do. But in some cases, you're going to want to give a kid a chance to experience something like that and to see if they can be successful. But we would have to monitor them very closely at the very beginning.
I hope so.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I would agree with Mr. Linden on that. I mean, it seems like there would be some minimum some minimum standard that we.
Right.
It's hard for me to believe we do it child by child, but.
Well, exactly. And again, we'll have to look and see what the numbers are, the number of students who want to do this. I do think a lot of our kids, as we've seen, want to come back into the building. So I don't think we're looking at large numbers. In fact, we've already had students able to register for this. Numbers are fairly comparable to what they've been in the past. Now, of course, as you advertise this, you may have more students, and you may honestly have some students who have not been successful this year online who are going to seek to try and be online again. And those students we certainly would not recommend for the program, and in most cases would not allow in.
Mr. Ray?
Thank you. If the parents, do they understand that if they're not making it, do they sign something to say that we can?
We will start, we're going to have a pre-registration process that'll start here within the next several weeks. We're going to work with Dr. Nicely, Ms. Hogan, myself will work with Mr. Lineberger to get a pre-registration form out to parents to kind of measure the intent, kind of where students are, certainly in K through 8. If we have some students who have those medical needs that we talked about, we want to make sure parents, one, understand that that's going to be an option, but two, that they're going to have to provide that documentation and what that program's going to look like, because if we do pursue virtual Virginia, that's going to be a little different than what they've experienced this year. We want to make sure that they understand that and know what those expectations are. Then certainly at the high school, we certainly would have an application and a contract where they understand what the expectations are, that certainly those grades and work completion and academic progress are going to be tracked early. And if it's evident early that the student's not going to be successful in those classes, we would move them back to the base school to be in person.
Thank you.
And then finally, of course, as we continue to support unfinished learning, we know we're going to have students in our classrooms, even if they take summer programs, who are going to have some learning that we need to finish up. So we just want to make the board aware of the steps we're already planning. One, we're going to make sure that we're ready to assess students in a vibrant way. Of course, we've got the Virginia Kindergarten Readiness Program. There's assessments that we'll do there to determine the unfinished learning and the skill gaps there. There's the phonological awareness literacy screening, also known as the PALS test that we give, where we'll be able to determine some of those early literacy skill gaps and address those. We have the reading inventory that almost all of our students, at least K through 8, take, and I know some of our high school students take it as well. It gives you a reading level. It lets you know what level the student's reading, and we'll be able to identify students who are not at grade level. And we're also looking, this is new for the upcoming year, they have a math inventory that's put out by the same company that does the reading inventory. We've had great success with reading inventory. We're looking at purchasing the math inventory with some of the ESSER funds. We talked about what are some extra things we can do that will give us good quality math snapshots in a short period of time, so that we'll be able to identify those skill gaps, that unfinished learning, and work with those students in a meaningful way. And then, of course, we will have SOL pre-assessments. I know Mr. Williams has talked to you guys a little bit about some of the changes that are coming with SOL testing. We will have required in grades 3 through 8 math and English SOL pre-test that will be given at the beginning of the year. So we'll have that data as well. And then, of course, once we identify those gaps, you've got to be prepared to do something about it. So, of course, we'll have PALS instruction that will take place at the elementary schools. Teachers will have access to that data, and they'll know that they're going to have students coming in with some unfinished learning. So we'll have teachers prepared to do some differentiated instruction. And then certainly for students who continue to struggle or might have some greater gaps in learning, we'll be doing some in-school tutoring programs in math and reading. We already have those, but we know we're going to have to expand those in the coming years. And then certainly each one of the buildings, we're hoping to be able to offer after-school tutoring and being able to use those ESSER funds to pay staff to work with students after school who we've identified either through this testing or as teachers are working with kids, giving the formative assessments in their classrooms. They might identify additional students and additional learning gaps that we can address either through the in-school or after-school tutoring. Any additional questions?
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
informative.
Very nice.
Appreciate all y'all are doing. All right, moving on. Report by Superintendent. Dr. Nicely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I just want to reiterate how excited we are to have some of our new leaders in place for the coming school year, just further developing the leadership capacity with those new appointments. Just to add to what Dr. McClung said earlier, we're so appreciative of all the work that Dr. McClung as well as Ms. Wimbush have done already this year with our equity leadership and planning team, and I look forward to Ms. Wimbush being positioned to directly work with our principals at all 27 schools to support our students as well as our staffs with our inclusion and equity efforts. I just want to especially give a shout out and kudos to our board for working with me to recognize the need and for supporting it. I think this is really helping our school division to be proactive and to move us in the right direction to keep pace with the needs that are out there. Just finally want to thank our principals, again, our teachers, for all the planning that they're doing at the high school level, middle school level, elementary level, to really finish out our school year successfully, doing some of those special things that they, like to do with the students. And of course, all this culminating, hard to believe, in just about a month with graduation ceremonies. There at the end of May. These will be done, of course, in person. In a stadium environment. This is not new, of course, to those at Glenver High School. They've been graduating in outdoor stadiums for years, but all 5 of our high schools will be able to do that this year, and that'll be special for our seniors to be able to have those ceremonies. So May 25th, Cave Spring High School, Hidden Valley High School, and Northside High School seniors will be graduating at Salem Stadium that day. And then the next day, William Byrd High School and Glenver High Schools will have their ceremonies at their home stadium. So we're excited about that and looking forward to seeing these seniors walk across those stages this year. Thank you.
All right. So reports and inquiries of board members. Mr. Greenway?
So we're blessed in Roanoke County. We've got people to step into the positions of administrative folks that are leaving, and it's wonderful to see these folks get an opportunity to move into those positions that have worked hard. Just wanted to speak to one thing. As we know, we've given out a guideline for how we're going to go about reseating the Catawba seat district, and I just wanted to speak to that before any of that goes on. I just want to let everyone know one of the questions I'll have is, are you going to run in November? And we've had some history here with reseating Windsor Hills and Vinton over the last 5 or 6 years, and we did it differently in both cases. But in the case that was Vinton, I wasn't a fan of it when it happened, but in retrospect, I think it was a good way to do it. The board at that time seated someone that sat on the board that was not going to run for the next term, and in effect not give an advantage to a seated board member, with only a few months to go in the year for an election. So I just want to say that. The only reason I really say that now is because I know we'll have some really fine folks and some really good candidates that will step forward, and I just don't want there to be any misunderstanding about where I think we ought to let the democratic process play out in November and no one have an advantage in that situation. Having said that, they got big shoes to fill, so whoever it is, we want to make sure Catawba is well represented. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. London?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to say thank you to Mr. Riley and Dr. Hogan. That presentation, the summer school program, I think really shows the importance that we're placing on getting these kids caught back up and back on track. And the emphasis on education is just something that I know Dr. Nicely and everybody here in central office strives to put at the forefront. So, and just to know that we're only, believe it or not, about 100 days away from the start of next school year, it's good that we're going to let parents know that they plan on being back in 5 days a week on a normal schedule, and I'm very, very happy that that is the plan that we're making known this early so people can prepare themselves for that. That's all I have.
All right. So, Mr. Ray?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had the honor to attend the state competition cheer at William Fleming High School on Saturday, and our K-Spring were runner-ups in the state. They went against Independence, and Jen McDaniel and Katie Lineback have been coaching the K-Spring High School for 11 years, and they've attending the state competition for 11 years. And they've been in the top 2 positions for 8 consecutive years. I said 7 it was, now it's 8 consecutive years. And they've been state champ for 3 years, in 2014, 15, and 18. And runner-ups in 2016, 17, 19, and now 2021. So they work hard at this. It's, I was able to do a little video for the team before they had it, and competition, and I started to say, all you girls, and there's a guy. So I said, all you girls and a guy. And so that's, it's really exciting to see how technical it is. And if you move your hand, it's points counted against you. So it's really technical. They work hard. So, maybe we can recognize them in a future meeting. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Ray. So, I'll do a little bit of congratulating on my own. Hidden Valley Girls Cross Country team came up just a little short yesterday, finished second in the state. So close, so close. I know Coach King out there, the seniors that are graduating, they've had a phenomenal run. And then our Hidden Valley volleyball team did make it to semis state and, fell to a pretty talented Rustburg team with 2 pretty solid hitters. We had some injuries on our team, but, just want to congratulate those teams for their hard-fought effort. So, Mr. Lineberger will be, in reference to, what Mr. Greenway was talking about, he will be, submitting a press release. It's going to kind of drill down the next steps and the process for replacing Mr. Butzer. Regardless, I think that, our job as a school board, when we go to appoint Mr. Butzer's replacement, I hope we have some good quality applicants out there. I think our job is to put the most qualified applicant in the seat. I think our citizens owe that. Our kids owe it. So that'll be forthcoming. Time frame when applications are due. But we certainly don't plan on sitting on that. Would like to have a smooth transition. So thank you to my fellow board members for putting their faith in me. Big shoes to fill. It's starting to feel real that Mr. Butzer's actually leaving. I was hoping it was an April Fool's joke, but it is what it is. So with that being said, meeting adjourned.
Did you see our new media person?